Welcome to the Northwest Iowa Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Henge. To the right of me is Riley Viss, and to the left of me, we have Blake Parks. And it's a little late in the season, so we're going to have a quick rundown of the Siouxland Conference and see where we're at so far. So coming in first place so far in the Siouxland is the Boynton Hall Comets. Their record is 12-0 and 11-0 in the conference. So guys, what are your thoughts of the Boynton Hall Comets?
I'm looking at their schedule, and if you look at some of their key games, they went up against George, and they were projected to win by 8, but they only pulled it off by 5. But it was a tough physical game. They did end up pulling it off, and it was a fun game to watch. And I think they played very well. Should be a championship game at state, but can't have that this year, I guess.
Sadly, a reminder that Boynton Hall went up to 2A, and George Little Rock is still in 1A. And right now, they're just kind of duking it out for the Siouxland. Blake, what are your thoughts?
I have to agree with Riley. I mean, they're pretty dominant from what I've seen. I mean, against George, pulling them by 5. George Little Rock's pretty dominant too. So.
And coming in at second place is the George Little Rock Mustangs. Overall, they're 13-1, and in the conference, they're 10-1. Their only loss coming against the Boynton Hall Comets. What are your thoughts, George Little Rock?
Just like Boynton Hall, they went up against Sioux Center, and George was only supposed to win by 4, but they ended up winning by 15, and that game was actually at Sioux Center. That makes it a much bigger win for them, and it really will help on their resume for state when people scout them.
Yeah, George Little Rock, not going to lie, they kind of surprised me coming into this year. I know they lost a lot, but, you know, they're coached very well, so most of the time, doesn't really matter what kind of guys they have. They're going to make the most out of it. Depth-wise, I don't think they're as deep as they were last year, but they still have guys who can go out and compete.
They also went up against West Lyon. They were only supposed to win by 16. They came out and won by 22 on the road as well. And then Rock Valley, this one was at home. They were only supposed to win by 13. They came out and won by 18. There was another game on here. Okoboji, it was a home game. They were supposed to win by 23, and they came out and won by 34 instead. And I feel like they're a really tough road team.
And yeah, look at their schedule. No matter who they play, it just kind of looks like they just dominate them no matter where at.
And the thing about our top two teams, Boynton Hall and George Little Rock, both are ranked second by BC Moore in their own respective classes. Only team that is ahead of George Little Rock is Grandview Christian, and the only team ahead of Boynton Hall is North Lynn, who moved up from 1A last year. So those two teams, Grandview, North Lynn, do you think our teams have a shot at them come state?
Grandview is a lot tougher than North Lynn. They both faced off last year at the championship game, and I was there to watch that game, and they're both very tough teams. I don't know what they bring back this year, but I know Grandview returns a lot of their stars. And I know George is a very tough team, but if I were to take them now, I would take Grandview probably by 10 to 15.
Yeah, Northland's only bringing back 4 seniors.
In Northland, with their high-powered offense, I don't know that the competition down there probably isn't as tough as here in the Siouxland, but they go out and they win basically every game by 50+.
They dominate.
That's pretty impressive by Northland. Against Boynton Hall, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a close game if those two play each other down at state.
I feel like Northland would probably take that one by 15, even though I'm a Boynton Hall grad. I know how good Boynton Hall is, and they are very good, but Northland's got that full court athletic press, and it's scary to play against.
And moving on from that, we go down to third ranked in the Siouxland, the Sioux Center Warriors at 10-4. In the conference, they are 8-3. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, they really surprised me considering they lost quite a bit of their talent to that senior class last year. I mean, Zutenhorst in the post was dominant. Tyus at point, can't really stop him. And they're just all-around shooters, so.
And for sure, Blake and I, speaking from experience, last year we were seniors in the Siouxland. We faced off against that dominant Sioux Center team who didn't quite make it to state, but did they win the Siouxland? I think they won the Siouxland last year. Or was it Sheldon?
I think Sheldon.
It was Sheldon because I'm a George Little Rock grad, and I think it was actually Sioux Center because we beat Sheldon one of the final nights to give Sioux Center the Siouxland Conference Championship last year.
That Sheldon team. Oh man, last year that was the team. Sioux Center went out against MLC. They were supposed to win that one by 10. They came out and won by 22 against a 3A school. That's very impressive. But otherwise, the rest of their games, they're not really quite meeting up to their predictions. They're getting there, but not quite matching the predictions.
You have Boynton Hall, George Little Rock, and then I'd say Sioux Center probably starts the tier 2 of teams who they definitely have a shot at state, but it's Boynton Hall and George Little Rock. They're not a guarantee to go to state, but they definitely have a very high percentage.
The Boynton Hall and George tier of the Siouxland are definitely the two tiers or the one tier that is probably going to state. They have the best chance, and then starting with Sioux Center, they've got the wins to do it, but is their age gonna show come to districts?
And that's right. We have 4th ranked in the Siouxland, the Rock Valley Rockets at 9-4 in the conference. They're 8-3. So, how do you feel about Rock Valley this year?
I don't know. I mean, they're doing about what people probably expected. I mean, they knew that they lost their height with Jason Taylor and Cade and some talent there. And, I mean, they're bringing a lot of talent back. And that's really good talent with both McKickert boys, JT, Colin. I mean, yeah. So.
I mean, you can definitely tell that Rock Valley is a team that they were good at football. And kind of shows on the court. Not necessarily that they play dirty, but they are a physical team. And I can see them beating any team on any given night.
Coming into the season, I honestly thought that they were going to be the team to beat this year. I didn't think Boynton Hall would be this tough. I knew they had the talent. I just didn't know if they were going to play together very well. But I looked at the score of the first game of Central Lyon and Rock Valley. That was at Central Lyon. Rock Valley was supposed to win that one by 10 only. They came out and won that one by 33. And right after seeing that score, definitely thought that they were going to take Siouxland. But then they came out and only beat Milford by 3, and then Sheldon by 12, who's kind of surprising the league this year. And then, lost to West Lyon, really threw them back.
Anyone can beat anyone in this tough conference.
That's a fact.
5th ranked, we actually have the Sibley Ochean Generals coming in at 7-7, 4-7 in the conference. Kind of a surprise this year, but guys, what do you think about Sibley Ochean?
I was surprised by them as well. Looking at these predictions here in their schedule, they're not quite owning up to their predictions either. West Lyon, they were supposed to win by 4. They lost by 10 at home. That's a big loss for them. They got dominated by Boynton Hall at home, but almost took them down at Boynton Hall, but then ended up choking there towards the second half.
They about took Rock Valley down at home. They're supposed to lose by 4, but they only end up losing by 1.
They definitely have some athletes there at Sibley Ochean. Usually the basketball program is more towards the bottom, but this year they're holding their own in this conference.
Their worst game of the year came against West Lyon. We're not talking about the worst loss. We're talking about their worst overall performance, and that was a 8-point loss to West Lyon. And then their best game was a 38-point win versus HMS.
They're definitely holding their own this year. Ranked 6th in the Siouxland, we have the MLC Floyd Valley Dutchmen coming in at 5-8 in the conference. They're 5-6. What do you feel about MLC?
Starting out the season, they went up against Sioux Center at Sioux Center, probably the 2 biggest gyms in the Siouxland Conference. They were supposed to lose by 10 only. They came out and lost by 22.
I don't know. I mean, they lost a lot of their talent too with their post and basically their shooters.
Yeah, MLC, the only 3A team in the Siouxland, definitely shows how tough this Siouxland can be. Doesn't matter if you're 1A or 3A, anyone can beat anyone. And MLC, usually their basketball program is up there. They're having kind of a down year this year, and they had that last year too, but you never know what you're going to expect from this MLC team. Coming in 7th ranked is the Westline Wildcats at 4-9. In the conference, they're 4-8. So, Westline, what do we got?
Coming into the season, they got Sibley Ocheyedan. That was a tough game. They only lost by 5, but it was at home. But that would have been a fun game to watch. Their best win, performance-wise, was up against Sheldon, a 21-point win. That's a big win. And then their worst performance was against Hills Beaver Creek out of Minnesota, and that was a 6-point loss. Otherwise, on the season, they're averaging 55 points on offense and giving up 60 a game on average, which isn't going to get you anywhere in the Siouxland.
I mean, I thought they would have been a little tougher. I guess they kind of surprised me because I thought with their seniors last year, some of those underclassmen would have looked at them and been like, okay, I need to do that, do what you guys do, and they would have transferred that to their game, and hopefully they could have. I was hoping they would have won a couple more games because I thought they were going to be pretty tough this year.
Yeah, Westline, definitely kind of like Rock Valley, a very strong and tough team. Kind of went below our expectations this year, but this is the Siouxland. They could step it up. I can see them doing that definitely, being a physical and tough team.
Despite their record, I mean, they may be 4-9, but they are ranked 25th in Class 2A. So, I mean, it is a tough Siouxland. I mean, there's not much talent here, but once you get to the middle tiers of all these teams, they're not bad. They're just beating the crap out of each other.
All right, so we move down to the 8th ranked out of 10 in the Siouxland with Sheldon Orups coming in at 4-10 and 2-9 in the Siouxland. How do you feel about Sheldon?
Honestly, lately, Sheldon, I researched them last week, and they were last in the Siouxland. And then they had a huge win over South O'Brien. Coming in projected to lose by 7. They ended up winning that one by 12 at home. And then they had a double overtime performance with Okoboji winning that one by 7. So they're on a 2-game losing streak coming off the losses to Spencer and Rock Valley.
I mean, they lost a lot of their talent too, just like anybody else.
They lost so much talent.
So, I mean, their post game and their shooters. I mean, they have a few shooters coming back, but otherwise, I don't think that they didn't look very big.
Yeah, this is a team coming off state qualifier last year, and they had a lot of seniors that last year, and now they're just kind of looking to rebuild for the future, and they got a lot of young guys now. So, in 9th place, we have the Okoboji Pioneers coming in at 4-10 and 3-8 in the Siouxland.
For them, their best win, or the best overall performance, believe it or not, was a 9-point loss to the Boyne Hall Comets, which, I mean, if you're in the Siouxland and you're only losing to 9 to the Boyne Hall Comets this year, that's a win. And then their worst game was an 8-point loss to Harris Lake Park, and they played awful in that game.
I mean, if you look at the scores, some of them are, I mean, yeah, the first game was to Sioux Center at home. They ended up losing 90-66. But if you look at any other game, it's kind of close. So they're kind of like Westline, Rock Valley. They play tough. They may not win, but they play tough and keep the games close.
And in this conference, playing in the Siouxland, come tournament time when you're playing teams from, like, say, the War Eagle, the Lakes, it's going to help you out that you played in here because you're used to playing against the Boyden Hall and the GLRs of the world. And, yeah, tournament time makes things a little easier. I can see them getting a few wins in tournament time. Then, lastly, we have the Central Line Lions. They are 4-11 on the season, and they are 1-11 in the conference. What do you think about Central Line?
They come in here ranked 25th in 1A, despite their 4-11 record. I mean, they're not. Don't get me wrong, they're not a good team, but they're definitely not the worst team out there around here. I feel like they could maybe, depends who they play in the tournament, they can maybe get a game or two deep.
I mean, I guess with the team of last year, it's kind of about the same as last year and the previous few years. I mean, yeah, they had talent there, but they just either didn't have defense or their shots weren't going down, so they ended up losing. Either they lost close games because they had good defense, or they just had bad defense. Shot weren't going down in the same game, and they ended up losing huge.
Yeah, Central Line's a pretty good example of being a average team and just getting placed in the Siouxland, because if you're average in the Siouxland, you're probably gonna get beat up most nights because you have Boyne Hall, GLR, Sioux Center, Rock Valley to compete with, and they got their younger classes for Central Line. They seem to be doing pretty good. They have a freshman, Mason Gerlman, who just played a little bit. He can knock down some threes. But yeah, Central Line, bottom of the conference. I can see them maybe pulling off a win in tournament time, and we'll see when we get there.
Looking at some of their scores, they put up 91 against Hills Beaver, but then the very next game, 4 days later, they only put up 39. Their best overall performance was against Hills Beaver Creek in a 24-point win, and then their worst overall performance was a dominant loss to 33 points to Rock Valley.
All right, and that's a good look at our standings so far in the Siouxland. Now that we're caught up, let's get to last week's games. So, last week, Monday, we had Sheldon pulling off the win against South O'Brien, 61-49.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that's a huge upset, but it's also the Siouxland, and they're going out of conference. You don't really know what you're going up against again in the Siouxland because you see their record and it's awful. But then you look at Sheldon, they come out and do that kind of performance.
I mean, I guess that's what teams get for playing this tough Siouxland. I mean, especially with Boyne Hall and George Little Rock, going up against them will toughen you up. Then when you go out of conference, these teams are like, oh crap, these Siouxland teams are really good. I don't want to play them. I'm scared.
And then you got that South O'Brien team, and probably about 2 hours going up against Boyne Hall. They're gonna realize it.
All right, and then moving on to Tuesday, interconference play, we have Boyden Hall beating Sibley Ocheyedan 74-50. Boyden Hall, top rated team in the conference. Sibley in the middle, so I can see that happening. 24-point win. How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's Boyne Hall going against like we said, one of these middle tier teams. Boyne Hall is just so dominant, and you can't. If they're hot, you don't know how to stop them. Then you just gotta, and they make a shot, tip your hat to them. Just play next possession.
They got a deep team too. I know they got 4 freshmen at the end of the bench, but those 4 freshmen or sophomores now, they've got some skill.
All right, moving on to the George Little Rock versus West Lyon. George Little Rock pulled off the win, 66-44 against West Lyon.
It's a dominant performance.
I mean, it's the same thing as Boyne Hall. You just don't know how to stop them. George Little Rock's dominant. Don't know what else to do.
They're definitely a well-coached team that has some dogs who can play for sure.
For sure.
Moving on, we got Rock Valley 79 versus Central Line, who had 64 points. How do you feel about the 15-point win for Rock Valley over Central Line?
I don't know if that's a very good takeaway, to be honest. That looks like a poor defensive performance. That's a good 79 points here in the Siouxland. But against Central Line, I feel like they could have stopped them to like a 55-60. Just looks like a closer game than what it really should have been.
And yeah, Rock Valley's lost some height, so that might have been something to do with it. But hey, a win's a win no matter how it comes.
That is true. That is true. Then we have a double overtime game. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Sheldon 56, Okoboji 49 in double overtime.
Looked like a fun game to be at. Wish we were there.
Yeah. And like we said, Okoboji, they're a tough team, so they're keeping it close all the way.
Mm-hmm. Double overtime with one team scoring 56. I feel like that was a lot of defense in that one. But until double overtime when Sheldon scored 13 points.
It looks like it was a 38-38 regulation score. It looks like a very, very boring game to be at.
Either boring or it would have been a fun game.
Shots weren't going in for, I believe I'm on Sheldon, I'm on Sheldon here. 16 for 45, 7 for 21 from downtown. That's 21 shots. That's half of your shots right there. But then they made 17 free throws. That's half the regulation points that they scored.
And moving on from that game, we have Sioux Center and MOC, the Sioux County game of the week. We have Sioux Center scoring 44 with MOC at 34 points. So Sioux Center took that one by 10.
I don't know. It looks like a too low of a scoring game. I mean,
For sure.
I feel like any Siouxland Conference game should be higher, but
It could also be with the defense that both teams have, very physical.
It looked like a poor performance on the shooting range. 12 for 41, 4 for 20 from downtown, 16 free throws. They made more free throws than they did field goals.
oh,
So that was the Tuesday's games, and then on Thursday we had two games. We had Central Lions scoring 76 points with the upset over West Line, who had 66.
So now that's a rivalry game there. They probably a lot of trash talking on the court, knowing Siouxland, as we've all played in the Siouxland, and it probably wasn't a boring game to be at, meaning it was only a 10-point victory.
I mean, just like we said, anything can happen in the Siouxland, and we love upsets.
That was definitely a shocker by Central Line. And then we had another double overtime game. That's the second one this week in the Siouxland. We had Sioux Center pouring in 87 points against Unity Christian, who had 81.
First overtime, it was 10-10. Second overtime, Sioux Center pulled out 10-4. And we'll get more on talking to you about Unity and South O'Brien later, but definitely not the type of team that could be a top 5 team in the state, which they are.
All right, there's this week's games. There's no games on Friday due to the
Huge snowstorm.
huge snowstorm we had. That was amazing.
I couldn't even leave my house. I was trapped at home.
All right, so moving on from last week's games to this week's upcoming games. Let's do a little bit of a prediction.
Let's go.
So today, this being Saturday, we have Boyden Hall at South O'Brien. What do we got for that game?
Give me Boyden Hall. Boyden Hall by 15.
We got South O'Brien ranked 5th in 1A, though they did take a loss to Sheldon. And Boyden Hall's ranked number 2 in 2A. So for that one, I'll take Boyden Hall.
That'd be the Boyden Hall train.
That's an easy one.
Then also later today, we have West Lion at West Sioux. What do we got for that one?
That's a tough game to predict because West Sioux's, they're undefeated, but like they've been up and down all year, playing dominant games. But then against Trinity, they were supposed to win by 22. They only won by 1. So Trinity is on an up year this year. This is probably their best year since starting their basketball program. But West Sioux could definitely be a little bit better. But I think I'm gonna have to take West Sioux in this one. It's at West Sioux. Can't really. I don't know. It's gonna be a close game, but I want West Sioux.
Yeah, West Lion just suffered a loss to Central Lion, so I feel like they could either do one or two things. They could play like they did last time and just suffer a huge loss to West Sioux, or kind of like how, excuse my Laker bias, but Lakers just took a loss to Cleveland. You saw their heads hanging, and they came out and won their next 2 games. So, yeah, West Lion, I think they could pull this one off.
I don't know. I mean, it's the West Lion. I mean, yeah, it's at West Sioux, but I feel like West Lion's gonna be tough, and so I don't know. I like upsets a little bit, so I'm gonna go West Lion.
All right, so we got 2 for West Lion, 1 for West Sioux, and that's it for our today's game. And so Tuesday we have Sioux. This is a big one. Sioux Center at George Little Rock. What do we got for that one?
It's at George. Can't really go against George when they're at home. That's a little tough. I'm not picking George yet. Don't be writing that down. You just hold up yet. George is supposed to win that one by 9. Susanna's number 6 in 2A. George is number 2 in 1A. It's gonna be a tough game. But yeah, you're right. I'm taking George.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, the first time they played, it was at Sioux Center. They were supposed to.
That was a 15-point win for George too.
Yeah, and it was only supposed to be a 5-point game. So, if George can come and do that at Sioux Center, then I can't
It's at
imagine what
George.
they're gonna do at George.
Oh yeah. I see where you're coming from.
Yep, and for this one, it's kind of easy. Me being a George Little Rock graduate, I see this team. We're doing amazing this year, and we already beat Sioux Center there, so why can't we beat them at George? Let's take GLR.
Tough to beat anybody at George. I know Boynton Hall always struggled when I was in high school at George.
And Tuesday's game, also we have Central Line at Boynton Hall. This one should be a toughie. Who do we got?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let me think about it. Put me down for the Boyd Hall.
I don't know. Central Line's only supposed to lose by 33 and a half. It's a coin toss, but I'm gonna take Boynton Hall. It's a double-headed coin.
I don't even have to think about this one. I'm taking Boynton Hall. And then we have Okoboji at MLC Floyd Valley. Who do we got for that one?
MLC traveling all the way to MLC. Did I just say MLC going to MLC?
Yeah, Okoboji's going to MLC.
Yeah, I caught on. But no, that long drive for Okoboji is gonna take them down. They're supposed to lose by 10, but I think it's gonna be a 15-point loss. MLC is gonna come out hot.
Yeah, pretty quick prediction for me. I got MLC for this one.
I don't know. I mean,
You can speak from experience. That drive to Okoboji, it sucks. We never played good at Okoboji. Boynton Hall didn't.
that is true. But I don't.
Maybe they're used to it by now because they got to travel all over. Maybe
mean,
they should join a different conference. And maybe Western should man up and join a tougher conference.
I don't know, I mean,
Shots
Oka Boys has been keeping it close all year, but I have to agree that drive does kind of wear and tear a little bit. It makes you sleepy. So I'm going to have to go MOC, especially at MOC.
Yeah,
Although
also
we did get free subs on the way home from Okoboji. Can't complain about that.
And also speaking from experience in the Siouxland, I know whenever I went to Okoboji, I was just tired as heck. Yeah, it's pretty tough to play when you're driving an hour away. So
For sure.
next one, we got Sheldon at Cibolo Cheaton. This one could be a good one. What do we got?
The internet's got Sheldon losing by 9 as Sibley is number 19 in 2A. I'm going with Sibley because I watched them live a couple times. They're physical. They can really shoot on any night given.
Yeah, I think I will probably take Cibolo Cheaton mainly because you're playing at Cibolo Cheaton, and let me just say that student section there, they can get in your head if they want to.
Oh,
Bunch of hicks out there. But Sheldon is playing pretty tough. I'm still going with Sibley, but Sheldon, that's look for the upset there.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Sheldon just because the past couple games they've been looking really good and they've been on fire. So
Definitely
give me
gotta
the upset, boys.
look at that game.
And the last Tuesday game, we have Rock Valley at West Lyon.
At West Lyon, that game always sucked to go to as well. They got Rock Valley by 5. Rock Valley's number 11 in 2A, and West Lyon's 25th. I don't even know, man. Blake, what do you got?
I don't know. I mean, West Lyon did go to Rock Valley and beat them 63-58, but that was also when Rock Valley didn't have their full team quite yet. So, I mean, being a grad from Rock Valley, I'm going to have to go with Rock Valley.
What do you got, Aaron?
Well, considering West Lyon did take Rock Valley down earlier, and West Lyon, after suffering that loss to Central Lyon, I feel like this is at the point where they kind of do some soul searching and get back into it a little bit. And I'll take West Lyon so far this week going 2-0, maybe not 3-0. For sure going 2-0 this week.
I mean, even before the Knights game, West Lyon has suffered 2 straight losses.
So I think I'll take West Lyon for this one. Play the devil's advocate here.
Yeah, I was going to go with West Lyon too, but looking at their loss against Central Lyon, I don't know. I might have to slide Rock Valley with a buzzer beater.
So that's our Tuesday games.
Well, that Rock Valley's come off that 2-game win streak right now, so we're looking pretty good.
And Thursday night, we have Hartley Melvin Sanborn at Boyden Hall. Who do we got for that?
Got some cousins going to HMS. Got some buddies going to HMS. But
It looks like another dominating win.
where's this game at?
This is at Boyden Hall.
If it was at HMS, it'd be a rough game. But since it's at Boyden Hall, I got Boyden Hall covering. They're not going to cover the spread. They're supposed to win by 38. I got them by 30.
Yeah, put me down for the Boyden Hall too.
I don't even think this is a question, especially at Boyden Hall. That student
Yeah,
section. That's speaking from experience.
They like to talk a lot of trash.
They do like to talk a lot of trash. I could say either toss up between Boyden Hall and Rock Valley. With places we visited, those were the two places where I got the most trash talk. So put me down for Boyden Hall.
At Noah Rolls.
Friday night, the marquee matchups. We have Sioux Center at Central Lyon. Who do we got?
Sioux Center at Central Lyon.
I don't know. I mean, it's a 15-point spread for Sioux Center. I don't know what else to say. And it's Central Lyon who has it. I mean, yeah, they did come off a win against West Lyon, but Sioux Center looking really tough this year, so going with Sioux Center.
Yeah, I don't know. This game is playing at Central Lyon, which, yeah, give me Sioux Center. I was trying to talk myself into it, but I just can't.
Yeah. I mean, even the drive, even from Rock Valley to Central Lyon, we'd still beat them big, so any drive's worth going to Central Lyon and winning.
Central Lyon coming off their probably their second best game, easily their second best game of the year against West Lyon. Did that talk you back into changing your pick?
Nope.
Didn't talk me either. Give me Sioux Center.
All right.
Go Tyus.
And then the next game we have Sibley Cheaton at Boyden Hall. Usually this is a pretty good matchup, but what do we got this time?
I thought we faced them twice already. First game, we beat them by 19.
Well, this
That
is
was at
Sibley at
home.
Bogie.
Oh, you said Boyden Hall.
Did I?
Yeah, you definitely said Boyden Hall.
Oh, sorry. We got Sibley Cheaton at Okoboji. That Boyden Hall versus Okoboji. That would not be a very good game, but yeah,
No.
Sibley versus Bogie.
We've seen that game a few times already. Sibley at Bogie. I don't know about that one. Bogie's predicted to lose by 8, but yeah, give me Sibley. They only got a half-hour drive. I'll take them.
Let's see. I had Sibley against Sheldon, but let's see. I feel like Okoboji might be able to pull this one off. I know they have a pretty good freshman who's scoring a lot right now, but I feel like his time will come, and give me Sibley for this one.
I don't know. I mean, it's at Okoboji, and it's supposed to be 8-point game, but Okoboji's been keeping it close, so I'm gonna. I don't know. I think go Okoboji.
All right, and also this one is played at Okoboji, so I can see Sibley losing, but I think they'll win. Next on up, we have MLC Floyd Valley at Rock Valley. So who do we have for that one?
Let me do some research.
I mean, Rock Valley did go to MOC and get a win by 4, but I was talking to people, and some of them were saying that MOC or Rock Valley should have won. If it was on paper, they would have won big, but I don't know. And it's at Rock Valley, so I don't know. Give me Rock Valley.
I would have to agree with that one. Those Rock Valley student sections are kind of little turds, aren't they?
Just a little bit.
That's just all I wanted to say after 4 years in the Siouxland. Yeah, give me Rock Valley for this one. I think they can be able to take care of MLC.
Rock Valley coming off of 2 straight wins. Again, Central Lyon and West Lyon, or Central Lyon and Sheldon. I'll take Rock Valley as well.
All right, we got 3 for Rock Valley.
Let's just hope Vandermine can calm down a little bit this game, because he got a technical first quarter
I'm out.
of the game at MOC. So
You hear that,
hopefully-
Vandermine?
Hopefully he can cool down.
That's why Blake never played. He's always talking trash about you.
All right. Next game we have George Little Rock at Sheldon. Who we got for this? Actually, can I answer this one quick? It's George Little Rock. All right. What do we got?
I don't know. I mean, it's at Sheldon. Sheldon's looking pretty good. I mean, I feel like it's going to be a close one, but I feel like George is going to pull this one off.
I'll take George as well. I know it's going to be a close game. I feel like Sheldon's season has turned around as it's going to be going uphill here pretty soon. They may be lower on the Siouxland. They're 8th right now, but I can easily see them passing up West Lyon as they're only half a game behind them. They're only a game and a half behind MOC. I don't think they'll catch Sibley as they're 3 games behind Sibley, but I think they could finish 6th. I got Sheldon.
Yeah, in my prediction, the only way that Sheldon can take down George Little Rock in this one is, those big cookies at Sheldon? Oh,
Yeah.
They handle a few of those and it's over. Last game of the week, we have Boyden Hall at West Lyon. Who do we got for this one?
At West Lyon, that's a tough game to travel to, but I don't know. Boyden Hall is tough this year.
This will be 23-point spread.
23-point spread, is that right? Oh, man. It's an obvious pick then. I got to take spread. 23-point win for Boyden Hall.
I can see maybe West Lyon making it a game since Boyden Hall will have to travel that long distance to West Lyon. But I can't see it enough that West Lyon takes down Boyden Hall, so I'll take Boyden Hall.
I don't know. I mean, let me look at the scoreboard. Boyden Hall put me down.
All right, we have predicted this week's games, and let's just go over the quick rankings. In 1A, we have Grandview Christian ahead of George Little Rock. Then we have Ankeny Christian. Prince of Peace, I think they made their way into the talks this year. South O'Brien out of the War Eagle. New London, Algona Garrigan. Sioux Central, kind of looks like Sioux Center. Mason City Newman. And Newell Fonda coming back into the talks. And in 2A, we have North Lynn at 1, last year's 1A, leader for most of the year. Boyden Hall at 2. Western Christian right after Boyden Hall at 3. Pella Christian at 4, Van Meter at 5, Sioux Center at 6, South Hamilton 7. I can't even pronounce that.
Where's that at?
Right.
Comanche
at 8, Iowa City Regina at 9, and Unity Christian coming in at 10. So this is the part we probably won't get every week, but we are going to look at, since they just came out, the district assignments for the postseason. And let me just take a look at the Siouxland teams. We have 2 in 1A, Central Lyon and George Little Rock in District 2, along with Clay Central Everly, GTRA, Harris Lake Park, HMS, MMCRU, South O'Brien, and Trinity Christian. Who comes out of this district?
District 1, taking a look at 1A District 1. Your best team right now is Remsen St. Mary's at 10-4, ranked 16 in the 1A league. And then right after them is Lamar's Galen at 11-3, ranked 21st in 1A. And then after that, Lon Bronson, they're third, but they're 43rd. And I mean, they got a good record at 8-4, but they were just 39th last week, and now they dropped back 4 positions. Akron Westfield dropped back 5 to 53rd. And then Kingsley Pearson jumped up to 58th, and then Woodbury Central's all the way back to 84th. I'm going to have to take Remsen St. Mary's. Lamar's Galen's good. I feel like these two teams always split each year on who's going to win the district. They always battle for it. But I'll take Remsen St. Mary's.
All right, so we got I can see Remsen St. Mary's coming out of 1A, but I think we played Galen Catholic last year in the district championship, which really wasn't too much of a game.
Yeah.
But then we'll have to play GLR in this district, so I think I could take Lamar's Galen for District 1.
I like both teams, honestly, and if anybody goes to those schools, I honestly think you guys are both overrated a little bit, but it could be fun coming out of District 2, seeing who you guys could face.
Yeah, for District 2, I think it's pretty easy. I think George Little Rock is definitely coming out of District 2. I don't think there's any team that can really challenge them too much. Maybe South O'Brien, but if they play like they did against Sheldon, it's over.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to take George for District 2. And then District 1, it's either a toss-up between Galen and St. Mary's.
And yeah, I can see Galen and probably GOR at the sub-state. I think there's a bigger chance of South O'Brien beating George Little Rock. I can't even see that happening. And yeah, I think George Little Rock is going to state.
If we look at this District 2, your third best team is Central Lyon. That's the worst team in Siouxland. Then coming after them is HMS, Trinity Christian, Harris Lake Park. They're all right next to each other at 37th, 38th, and 40th. Those are going to be some fun games to watch around the league. Might have to go out and see a few games. And then we got GTRA, 54th, MMCRU at 80th. You'd think since they joined like 8 different schools together, they'd be a little bit better than 2 and 12. But then we got Clay Central Everly as the second worst team in 1A and the third worst team in the whole state at 124th. They were 125th last week.
All right, so I think, is it pretty consensus that George Little Rock is coming out of the sub-state?
George is going to state.
Yeah.
Their best matchup is going to be South O'Brien or Remsen or Lamar's Galen, but those teams seem like they're tough. They just don't come out and play in their good games.
All right, so there's our 1A for the Siouxland. And then we have in 2A, this is actually really interesting.
This is a very interesting.
So you'd think when the pairings came out that they were going to be the teams that are closest together. And you got Boyd Hall.
I was scared for that.
You have Boyd Hall a block away from Western. And it turns out that Boyd Hall is in District 1 and Western is in District 16. So the only way that they're going to see each other in the postseason is if they play at state. I'm sure the whole city of Hull will be there to watch that.
It's a town, not a city. But no, District 1 does look interesting. You got Boyd Hall and Sioux Center, both top 10, and Unity sneaking into the top 10 as they were 11th last week. Those 3 teams, they're going to battle it out. Unity, they got a tough team. They just didn't come out and play against Boyd Hall, and Boyd Hall very well held them. They got some big physical bodies on their team, and they could take anybody down at any given night. And then we got Sibley and West Lyon and Okoboji. Those 3 teams honestly aren't bad. This is a tough district. If you really look at if you've seen all of these teams live, it's a tough district. But I'll take Boyd Hall or Sioux Center coming out.
Yeah, the only in District 1, I think the only team that really stands much of a chance against Boyd Hall is Sioux Center. They do have a chance of beating Boyd Hall, but I don't think it'll happen. Yeah, I'll take Boyd Hall in District 1, and District 2...
I got the stats right here. We got Lake Mills at 24th. We got Pocahontas area at 26th and Forest City at 36th. The other 3 are 51, 57, and 76. Those aren't going to really give anybody a tough matchup. But the top 3 of these 2 districts seem to be pretty heavy, but obviously District 1 has 3 top 10 teams.
Yeah, I'd say winner of District 1 is going to make state.
I feel like it's going to happen. Depends where the sub-state game is going to be played at, and depends how these teams play. Maybe they got some press that that the whole Siouxland is not used to.
And then lastly, we have District 15 and District 16. The Siouxland teams are in District 16 with Rock Valley, Sheldon. And then we have some Warriorville Lake teams. We have Western and West Sioux. And is Hinton in the Warriorville?
I do not know.
They're a Northwest Iowa team.
Comment in the section below if you guys know what that one is.
But yeah, I can see Western, West Sioux, or even Rock Valley stands a chance in this to win this district.
I think this district is mainly everybody. It's kind of like the Patriots. Everybody looks up to Western, no matter how. This is obviously an off year for Western, but Western's like the Patriots. They win every year, so everybody looks up to them. And I really don't think Rock Valley's got a chance against them this year, just because they're so inconsistent. And West Sioux, sorry West Sioux fans, but you guys may be 13-0, but you guys are ranked 14th at 13-0. That's saying something. You guys got to get a tougher schedule.
So, yeah, basically, Western is the favorites here. But I can see the Rock Valley or West Sioux knocking them off. I don't think it'll happen, but I can definitely see it happening.
I could see Sheldon knocking off Western before West Sioux. Nah, maybe not. I'm just kidding.
And District 15, teams that we're not very familiar with.
That's for sure. But they have 3 teams in the top 30, which isn't terribly impressive. But East Sac County seems to be right up there with Ida Grove. Ida Grove's 21-2, but they're ranked 21st. That's not terribly good. But East Sac is 10-4, ranked 20th. 4 losses and still being in the top 20. It's kind of impressive.
So that's our two-way wrap-up. 3A assignments right now are not up. The only team that we will have to worry about is MLC Floyd Valley, and in 3A, I can't really see them getting that far.
Well, we're covering local, a little bit out of the conference for 3A. We'll also be covering a little bit of Lamar's as they're ranked 14th this year. Spencer's number 10. We'll be covering them. Spirit Lake's 23rd, and then Heelan is surprisingly 31st in 3A.